Okay. So here we are
Hello again.
together. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
been a
been a while.
while. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And, it's been a busy season for me. I keep wanting to clear my schedule so that I can do more weeding and more playing around in my yard. But things keep popping up. This past weekend was amazing in Boyertown. Boyertown celebrated itself this weekend. We had two things on Saturday. We had the annual Coming Out of Hibernation event in Boyertown, and there were thousands of people on the street. And there
What
were
is that?
it's celebrating, coming out of hibernation. It's celebrating spring. It's celebrating let's get out and about and get out of our winter clothes and put on our flip-flops and things like that. So anyway, like I said, there were thousands of people on the streets of Boyertown. The main street was closed off, and there were almost 100 vendors, food trucks and musicians and businesses and nonprofits and all kinds of people. But like I said, it was and we had magnificent weather. So we had a wonderful time all day on Saturday until 4 o'clock. And then from there, as the vendors are packing up and going away, and there were still people on the streets, they would have continued to come if the vendors had stayed. But we had another celebration to go to. It was the annual Citizens of the Year Gala at the Museum of Historic Vehicles. And so at 5 o'clock, they opened the doors to that. And that evening, again, Boyertown celebrated itself and the people who give above and beyond in all kinds of ways. It was the 70th, get that, the 70th annual Citizens of the Year Award Gala. So that was really kind of fun. And, I take my camera and take photos and try to capture moments and stuff like that so I can share them on the Boyertown Area Expression. So anyway,
Nice.
I finished up 2 articles, photo essays, really. There's not a lot of information in them because we've done articles about the people who were recipients of the award in previous weeks. But
Who was it this year?
this year, a gentleman who was the executive director of United Way, Ken Hunt, and he is fighting a really significant battle with cancer right now. So the fact that, and he, when he's such a private, kind-hearted, generous. I mean, he is a gentleman of the first degree, kind and compassionate and humble and, and all those kinds of things. And, he was not happy to be nominated. He didn't scold me, but he was not happy to be nominated for this award.
Are you part of the
and
nominating committee?
No, I'm not, but I sent in a nomination letter on his behalf. I had been part of the committee as a former recipient years ago, but I just, I can't do one more thing. So I had to, I stepped off the committee. But I do make it a point to give them my recommendations when I have somebody that I think deserves to be awarded. And given who Ken is and what he's done for the community, and given that he is struggling so hard right now medically, I nominated him this year. Anyway, he didn't scold me. And although he did threaten, I'm not coming to the awards gala, but he showed up, which was yet another gift, I think, to the community, that he came, and accepted the award. And it was a very touching celebration. So there you go. There we go.
Very cool. Nice.
Yeah. So that was this weekend for me. And I called the dentist this morning, who is eager to take out one of my wisdom teeth. I tried to save it a month or so ago, but it's not happy in my mouth. So I think it's got to go. Anyway, that's what my day has been so far.
If that's something that's happening I'm wondering if that's something that's happening with me too. Jack Lignelli took mine out back in high school on Good Friday of all dates. When he scheduled that with my mom and me, he said that'll be
Hmm.
a good day for a crucifixion. I'm like, yeah, thanks. Um, but
But what's going on with
the
you
one
now?
well, he couldn't get the one out. There was one that was impacted, and he couldn't get it out. And I'm wondering if that's the one that's on this side. Um,
Ah.
2 weeks, just everything that's been going on here in retirement. Getting used to it and adopting Zach and getting him into college. And that's where we're going after this today. We're going to go finalize
Oh.
some things at his school.
Oh, good.
There was, and being in therapy and trying to work through PTSD and just outright depression. I've
And
been feeling a lot of
all.
stress.
Mhm.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, just that you have
Uh,
invented this radio station, and I cannot imagine the
oh
stress
yeah.
you're under trying to put all this together and all the equipment and all the people and all the. Yes, you're under a lot of stress, buddy.
So I'm finding the doctor that manages the medication. I told him, I said, I'm waking up in the morning with my
You did.
jaw hurting,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, you're clenching your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Mm-hmm.
biting hard while you're sleeping.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And about 2 weeks ago, I noticed that the top molars on this side of my mouth are slightly in.
Oh my.
And in the rare occasion that I do actually shut my mouth, I can feel them like grinding as I close my mouth, the top and the bottom.
Mm.
It's like they're not.
Aligned.
We're echoing.
Are we?
Uh, it,
I'm not.
it's like
I
it's like
don't
they're
hear an
not.
echo.
It's like they're not matching properly, or whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Yep. Oh, damn it!
So we are
I can't
still.
turn
I'm
that off.
just talking as an experiment to help you figure out what's going on. Maybe. Anyway, you're not
Yeah, it's
echoing on
me.
me.
I didn't. Yeah, I hit mine when I first came on. I didn't hit yours before we recorded, and now I'm gonna hear myself in my head.
Uh oh.
Because like yeah, it's faint. It's very faint, but not an issue. Hopefully, won't last to the actual episode. But anyway, so I'm having this tension in my mouth, and I'm noticing within like the past 2 weeks that there's like a slight indentation of the row of molars on the upper right side.
Wow.
And I'm wondering if that was the location that he could not get all of the wisdom tooth out,
Yeah. Have
and
you
if
been to the
that's
dentist
what.
recently? We have a lot of things in my family going on with teeth, so seeing
I don't think I've
dentists
been
is
to
a
the
regular
dentist in the
thing.
past decade.
Oh, well, it's time to visit.
Yeah,
When I was a little
not here.
girl, when when I was a little girl, knowing that I had to go to the dentist was a super cause of stress. I hated the dentist.
Yeah,
Hated the
yeah,
dentist as much as I hated getting my grades, my report cards. They were a phenomenal source of stress back in the day. I can remember
yeah,
being just uh, freaked out. Oh my
yep.
God, report cards are coming out. I have to go to the dentist, Yeah. Those were some of my big anxieties back in the day when I was a girl. Imagine that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, same here. Back when I was a girl too.
I love you.
Hey, jokes.
Okay, anyway, what are we talking about today? You said you had a screw tape type encounter experience.
Of
Talk about
sorts.
it. What's
And
going on?
yes, so Zach loves horror movies,
Yeah.
and I love horror movies that are kind of sort of realistic or could actually happen.
Okay. All
Um,
right.
Being a person of faith, you can't say there's no such thing as ghosts and then turn around and
Right.
worship one.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of things with things, and I've seen some of the. I think possession is a real thing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that I've seen and know of people that have just, it's just, that's not mental illness. That's something.
Okay.
And so we went and saw a movie that was recently released that was a prequel. And because it was a prequel, it had to be, therefore, by definition, a period piece of sorts
Okay.
for today's standards, because the original took place in the early, in fact, the year I was born, the early 1970s, 1971.
Whoa.
And that movie, starring Gregory Peck, was The Omen.
Okay.
And so the movie that's out now is called The First Omen. Again,
Okay.
being the prequel. And it tells you how Damien from that story
Mm.
came about. And I think a little bit more importantly, why. If you've seen the Da Vinci Code,
Mm-hmm.
there's the Catholic Church,
Mm-hmm.
and to match it up with today's politics, the deep state Catholic Church. The uh,
Yes.
the hidden part of it, the Priory of Sion, and the secret society aspects of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the secret societies within the Catholic Church that publicly and on the general level is probably denied, but because enough of them have actually spoken out, we know that it exists. And that is the priests, the brotherhood that performs exorcisms. And a division of that is a hardline level, like the Marjorie Taylor Greens of the Catholic Church,
Mm.
who are much more quiet, that realize the Catholic Church is losing membership. And so, in effort to bring faith back to the masses, they realized there needed to be a reason to have that faith. And that was the 19 I don't want to say the first Omen because that's the title of the prequel, but that was the 1970s Omen.
Okay.
But what you didn't know in that movie was the why. And
Okay.
that's what comes out in the first Omen, is not only is there a realization that uh, communities are less faith based, particularly not just all, but especially the Catholic Church, but it was in fact the Catholic Church behind the formation of that need for faith in the first place. Meaning that Catholic orphanages in the Vatican, in Rome, were conducting experiments with having orphaned women give birth after having been impregnated by a captured demon. And that it was, so
Mm.
now, some big, 12-foot tall monster. Okay, that might be a little, but at least from a spiritual level, a very real thing. And of course, the whole secret society part, also a very real thing. I think that was really the bigger horror of the movie than the
Mm-hmm.
devil.
Mm-hmm.
But this demon would impregnate generations of uh, women who had been abandoned or orphaned and were brought up through the Catholic orphanages and directed into the sisterhood. And then somewhere, for, you see in the movie, chosen ones from a very young age. And they're groomed to birth the Antichrist. And there's so many plot twists throughout this movie. They kind of tell you, in the beginning, that's what it's all about. Um, the cardinal, archbishop, I forget, the one big maha from the Catholic Church is somebody you would recognize from both drama and other horror movies. He was in the series of movies with Kate Beckinsale, the vampire werewolf movies. I can't. I'm. Let me just go. I should have pulled this up first.
Well, that sounds like a real prescription for nightmares to me.
Oh, quite possibly. um, I'll
How
go
did
right
you sleep
ahead.
last night?
Uh, the
Fitfully? Clenching your teeth,
y-
perhaps? Another source of
yeah,
stress,
that
perhaps?
obviously. It was a Italian, uh, mostly Italian cast. The lead in it is an actress named Nell Tiger Free,
Yeah, I'm
and
not
she's
familiar.
just she's not even they don't even bill her in I don't know if this is just Google right now. They don't even bill her by her cast or her actress name. Margarita was the name, but Sonia
Forget it.
Braga, you've yeah she's um uh she plays a really interesting character, one of the sisters. Bill Nighy plays Father Lawrence. He was either a bishop or rather either
Archbishop or
a
cardinal or
cardinal or
something.
archbishop or
Yeah. I'm
somebody
not
way up
familiar
there.
with the
He
hierarchy.
was
Yeah.
in Yeah, no, me neither. He was in actually he was in Pirates of the Caribbean. He played Bootstrap Bob. What's his name's dad?
Yeah.
Not Johnny Depp, but the other guy. He was in the movie Love Actually, Living, The Beautiful Game. Underworld is the series of vampires versus lichens, werewolves that he had been in. But yeah, again, Pirates of the Caribbean.
So
I'm
you and
trying to
Zach were
see.
totally
There's another
freaked
one
out
like
by this? You and Zach were
he was
totally freaked out
especially.
by this?
Uh,
Was
yeah,
this
he
his
was especially.
introduction
There
to
were
this
some.
spiritual stuff?
No, he's actually. He's actually been to church quite a few times through his younger years, and I know that he's also a person of faith. We don't
Hmm.
do anything as much here, but I think he would if he wouldn't have to get up earlier. I think he'd be a little bit more open to it. Um, but
Yeah.
the the main character, the tiger free girl, um, is already a nun at the beginning of the movie. She's moving to Rome from Massachusetts, and she already knows Bill Nighy's character because he knew her since she was a baby, and you'll figure out why throughout the movie.
Okay.
Uh, but Bill Nighy was in a like one of the Marigold Hotel movies too. You'd recognize him there if you saw him. Um, what's really amazing about it is that it goes back and forth. One minute you think this girl is the heroine of the movie, then you think she's the villain,
Is
and then
she,
she's back to being well.
was
You
she
know, this is all
one of the
this all
children? Was she one of the children?
she was.
There
Yes,
you go.
she. You will find out that she was one of the successful births from the opportunity or the efforts to create the Antichrist. However, they want a male. Of course, if you know uh, the movie The Omen, you know that male
Mm-hmm.
is named Damien.
Damon. Mm-hmm.
And so you already know that they want a male.
Mm-hmm.
But she was a successful, healthy female. So they kept all the healthy females to, again, attempt to rebirth later the um, the Antichrist. But if you're keeping that female that was just birthed from an attempt to create the Antichrist, isn't that demon impregnating his own daughter? And the answer is yes.
Yes. Yeah. What a
And so the very
what
first ones they couldn't take anyway, because the
right.
first sacrificial woman would not have been from this demon.
Mm-hmm.
So you see that, and in the event that you or our listeners actually want to see this, which I do recommend, there is some explicit, in Zach's terms, gore, but it's what happens in a cesarean section or in the process of giving birth.
Oh, okay.
And you see, you know,
Uh,
close up
I see.
of the process of giving birth.
I see.
um, so he thought that was that, and given the blood that was associated with it, he thought that was a little gore. And like, that's why I like these
Hey,
movies.
dude.
They're
Exactly.
real life.
Yeah.
In fact,
So I'm interested.
Bill Nighy's character even says that. He says, unfortunately, you know, the beauty or the gift of life is sometimes a little messy,
A little messy, I'll
and
say.
you don't know his level of involvement yet. You think he's a good guy. I'm not breaking any
No spoilers here.
spoilers by telling you. No,
Well, what I'm
you'll pretty
interested
much
in
guess that at the beginning.
what I'm interested in may not be part of this movie, but what I'm interested in is, the concept of the Antichrist and how we meet those. Let's say they exist. How we in our lives meet those people and how we recognize them. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Hey, gang, we did it again. We talked long enough to create an episode before actually starting the episode. So, this will be an intermission. Take your bathroom break, refill your coffee or cocktail, and we'll see you back here for part 2.